I'm with David Otter, who we've done a webinar with before. Hi, David. And Rahul's joined us.
Morning, guys.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Very good, very good. So, Rahul, you are, I've known you for 10 years. You are a mortgage and so a portfolio landlord. So you are a broker for a variety of sort of commercial and resi, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Commercial, resi, and development finance. So it's mainly special situations lending. I act for big portfolio landlords, developers who are building either single unit or multi-unit block of flats, mixed use on the ground floor, resi above. Any kind of bricks and mortar kind of finance, fuss money, bridging finance, things that maybe high street banks and your typical high street broker wouldn't necessarily deal with.
Right. So that puts you in kind of a very niche position where you can be the man to go to in those awkward situations.
Yeah, it's niche lending. It's not necessarily first time buyer vanilla lending. Is niche lending where I'm providing a solution that a standard lender probably wouldn't be able to provide.
Right. And what's the name of the firm, the brokerage you work for? Or
well, I just trade under my own name now. I was for 15 years. I used to trade with a company, Mayfair, MCIFA. But I'm just trading as under my own name at the moment.
And you're also a portfolio landlord. You've been in the game a long time. I've dealt with your flats.
20 years. Yes.
20 years. Yeah. So where are you from? Where are you from originally?
Wakefield, Yorkshire.
Yeah. No. I thought so with the accent. I went to Sheffield
via Manchester, and then I came to London in 1997. Right. I lived in Brixton for 3-4 years, then in Bermondsey, and I've been in Shoreditch, Old Street since 2005.
I mean, you've seen all those three areas have become the sought after places to live now.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the change. I mean, throughout London, London's changed massively in 20 years. Obviously, big, international component now. Huge number of foreign students. This is all new. It'll be interesting what impacts the current crisis has on that. But foreign investment last 20 years. I mean, that's kind of underpinned, especially doing deals in Mayfair and prime London, which is where I financed a lot of property. That's where there's been a lot of activities, from 2005, a lot of overseas people. And, you could argue now going forward, London's cheap.
Yeah.
If you're a dollar investor, great time to pick up some nice assets in the UK.
Yeah. Well, David, you were saying that just before we started this, and you were asking Rahul if it was a good idea to start offering and getting mortgages agreed. I think Rahul was.
Yeah. So what's happening? If physical valuations aren't possible at the moment, so number of lenders have entered the market where they'll lend just based on automated valuations. Now, they need to reduce loan to values accordingly. So they're not going to do 95%, 90% first time buyer lending. But at 60%, as long as there's sufficient evidence from their algorithm and RICS data and such, they can base things on an automated valuation without a physical inspection. And different lenders will have different caps on that. So, you've got specialist lenders like Kent Reliance that are currently lending up to 60%, and they'll do any kind of buy-to-let, ex-local authority, HMO, company, but they'll only lend up to 360 at the moment, 360k loan size on that basis. Coots, on the other hand, they'll do lending up to 3 million, and they will consider doing an automated valuation if there's enough evidence up to 70% loan to value. But that's generally going to be restricted to things like houses, freehold houses where there's sufficient data. I think above 1 million, it's difficult for them to value automated flats, value flats in London on that kind of model. Makes sense.
And the rates are still quite low, aren't they?
Super
I like what you mentioned. I like what you mentioned earlier about the fact that if you viewed the property before and that's still on the market, you're now still in that position to invest and reapproach the agent. I think you said a minute ago.
I'm telling investors that you should revisit viewings that you've had, even previous offers you've made. I've done the same, and found out actually I'm speaking to an agent about a property that might have fallen out of bed 3 times since the time he offered it. And no one thought to call me, but so based on the fact you can potentially get lending and get loan offers at that level. If you viewed the property before, you can put a decent offer in, and you're not facing much competition because no one else is out there viewing.
Yeah, it's good.
But then again, if you look at the agents' data from people like Savills and Allsops, they've run, I think, one commercial, one resi auction now with no physical inspections, and it's just all been based on the either drone footage and the video footage.
Yeah.
So it seems that certain investors can take a view as long as they've done the due diligence, they've got all the legal docs and transactions are being done. So I don't know if that will start applying to sort of mainstream residential through agents as well.
I think there's going to be a cultural shift, David, actually, because from the agent's perspective, there's no reason why, if you've got quality, there's loads of products, but like Matterport, as an example, and we're exploring a really interesting niche one I'm not going to talk about, but it's very cool. I'll tell you about it later. But there's loads of techie solutions out there that will be able to bridge this gap. And if people, international market or even a domestic market, people could make an initial assumption, an initial offer based on that. It's high enough quality, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It could change the way a lot of us do business as well. And I think you mentioned Matterport, and that is really comprehensive. I mean, you look at it from an aerial view, you've got the 3D plan, then you can scroll into each room. It's incredible what you can do with technology. The way it maps out a room, it's just fantastic. And I think a lot of agents are going to be taking up these things. Of course, it won't replace the human element, but it's good to have another tool in your armory, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think, weapon. Well, exactly. The problem is it always comes at cost, and it always comes, your product offering, as Rahul will agree, has to be the next level and has to be one step ahead of the game. But that does come at extra cost. It
comes at a cost, of course. Look, if you're selling, something at 3,000 square foot with a 10 million capital value, if you've got to incur several £1,000s in doing a drone video, you're going to do that. Yeah, but it's got to be commensurate with the property. It's not going to make sense on something else. Yeah.
No,
absolutely. I mean, and these are little packages that they can pay up front, like in advance, like a little tour. And if that's the best way to, like you just said, Raoul, to show that property off, then why wouldn't you do it? Pay that little bit just to get that definite sale and get the coverage, because agents love showing off quality properties. And I'm the first one. We've got this one on the market, and it's 900,000, which is small fry for obviously the Londoners, but down here it's quite a big one, and it's lovely. We've had a proper tour done, and it's got so much feedback from Facebook and Instagram and people interested. It's raising that awareness, and we love showing that off because it's like, look at our work, look at what we've managed to create. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. People like looking at nice properties. I think I find it difficult to get by a day without looking at the Modern House website once a day.
Yeah,
just because I just love the way it's presented.
Yeah, website as well.
Oh yeah, of course. My favorite.
Yes, that of course. No, all these, the ones that hit the market, and even Urban Spaces back in the day. I mean, they couldn't be more corporate now, but those kind of. That's why I went into agency, because I absolutely loved that kind of loft appeal, that kind of, anything you can go on a website and go, wow, actually I do want to click in.
Yeah,
it's got to be worth working for or operating for. And I can see, David, why you were talking about the corporate and everything else. After a while, you're just like, how can it just still be stuck in the 80s? This is the problem. It's hard. It's hard to think that people still think that works.
Well, they do, and a lot of them are very much. I mean, I've worked for companies where I've come up with innovative ideas, thinking this is great, they're going to love it, and then you just get batted down and say, well, David, this is the way we've always done it, so we're going to continue doing it that way. And I just think that's why you'll never grow into the modern world, because there'll be agents that come across and they're offering that, and it's like, we've got an agent local to us, and their marketing is exceptional. They're not a very good agent. In fact, they're quite awful, but their marketing is incredible. They're everywhere. They're like the plague. But I spoke to the companies I used to work for who had a really big budget and fund. I thought, if we're going to compete on that level, let's get up there because our service is better than them. But did they want to listen? No. So it's just that you've got to be business minded now and running an estate agency. There used to be the old boys club and they do things a certain way. You've got to embrace modern technology, and a lot of no disrespect, a lot of the older generation don't like the modern stuff. I mean, I love talking to people on the phone. I love having a chat, but also I love the fact that I use an automated accounting software that is just brilliant. Cost me a bit of money, but my God, my customers love it.
Yeah.
Which one do you use?
PaperOp.
PaperOp.
Yeah, so it's a specialist letting agency one. So what it does,
Will it work out a landlord tax?
No, it doesn't. You'd have to have your own tax account. It'll do your annual statement and stuff like that. Yeah. But for those bits, we always say, look, go to an accountant because that's the specialist advice. We're only there to approve and reconcile your account. And I love it because you set the rules up, you set the payments come in, they're allocated with unique reference numbers, you take your fee, you account to the landlord, you account to the tenant, and this all takes around 30 seconds. It costs a bit of money, but it's like...
Does it sync with the bank?
It does, yeah. Well, it syncs directly with your client account, and it does that. It doesn't sync in with a lot of software, so you have to manually make notes on software here and there. But for me, it's an actual standalone platform, and it's brilliant. I'd highly recommend it for agents, and I feel like a bit of an advocate for it right now.
Well, you get an ALA agent, don't you? So.
Well, this is it. Yeah, as an ALA property mark agent, you get a discount. Absolutely.
It's always a useful.
So that's for your management tenants, presumably.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all the rental payments, all the reconciliation, and I mean, a lot of agents charge a fee for it, and I don't really. But a landlord might say, David, can you give me the accounts from 1st of April 2019 to 1st of April 2020 from my accountant, and it takes me 30 seconds. I just date range it, bang, and it goes onto one statement, and then that goes through it, and then they're like, my accountant loves you, and I'm like, well, that's good. This is what we want. And he's just given that level of service.
Access information easily and be able to present it easily to your
and it's palatable. Yeah, it really is.
Have you dealt with many? Do you deal with many rent-to-rent landlords?
I don't really. No.
Is that more of a London thing then?
It's a London thing. It's definitely London. I mean,
have you dealt with many of them? I mean, you must Danny, around like Southwark and like Old Street, a lot of corporates that basically just take them
and then do the room, and and a lot of them were doing the HMO status ones, but then as soon as obviously selective licensing came into Southwark and Lambeth and Camden and Tower Hamlets as well, they started just taking the 2s and 3s. Because they thought it was easy. We were dealing, I won't name companies, but we were dealing with quite a big one that you would know in Old Street, and another one that was a small timer. But I didn't carry them over to where I work now because I wasn't, and they've really struggled with coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, obviously they're the first ones. It's like a mini WeWork scenario, isn't it? They're
completely.
Basically renting long term and letting short term, and. Clearly, the people that have been most affected by the current crisis are people that are working in those kind of industries, in the cafe, food, restaurant sector. Yeah. That suddenly they haven't got work, and difficult for them to potentially have liquidity then to pay rent, and they're not necessarily eligible for government support either.
No, well, they'll be down the list, and also they're going to be the first ones to.
So ironically, these companies used to market themselves as the rent guarantee companies. But it's the least guaranteed rent out of all of them because whilst like I must admit I've got a number of those kind of tenants, but it's important to have diversification because at the other end of the extreme I've got properties that are let to high earning professionals where you're not going to have this kind of issue. They're not affected by this kind of scenario. They can still work. They're still getting their incomes, and whilst at the time the income doesn't seem as great, obviously the risk profile is different. So I appreciate now the importance of having some diversification on your client profile and not have everything of the same kind of type. You know, it needs to be a combination of HMO, single let, combination of different things.
Well, and also there needs to be a sort of the world has changed. That's the point I'm making. The cultural shift, and we're going to have a big work from home culture shift as well. You're going to see people wanting to do their companies from rental lets in central London, aren't they? And you know, the whole like home business tenancy thing. I had a discussion previously with a lawyer called Adrian McClinton who does some of the other stuff. Nice guy. And I was talking about home business tenancies on the other video you can find on the YouTube. And he was saying it's a common theme now, and it hasn't just been out of this crisis. It's been the last 2-3 years. Seen a big shift down in Brighton, they cover the southeast a lot, and also just the periphery of London, and it's seeping down that way, and I think it's going to be in all cities now.